and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
And this is a podcast where every week we talk about the things that make us broke, ranging from comic books, TV, music, video games, movies, and more.
And speaking of music, one thing did make us broke this week, the release of Pokemon X and Y soundtrack.
It is now up on iTunes for $10. It is over 3.5 hours worth of music from the video game, including some special bonus tracks from the Pokemon TV Pokemon Origins show.
One thing I did really like about that, you do have the remake from Pokemon Origins, but they also give you the original from the Game Boy Color games. So that was great for me, because I'm like, yeah, my bicycle. And then I get to hear the Origins one. I'm like, mostly like my bicycle.
I was hoping they'd include the song from the rival when you actually talk to your rival and you hear like that violin.
Da, na, 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 na. That's not the same one, but that's my favorite.
Yeah. And they didn't include it in this soundtrack, but maybe they'll release a Pokemon Origins soundtrack later on that has everything from the special, which is up now. We'll talk about it next week.
Mm-hmm. One other great thing that released this week also was the Maleficent teaser trailer, which will be releasing in 2015.
Maleficent will be played by Angelina Jolie, and the movie, one of the writers on it is actually Paul Dini.
Yay, Paul Dini! Being awesome for villains.
I think this could potentially be, even though this is a novice, it's a director, someone that has never directed any movies. It's someone that had worked on a lot of production design, set designs, and you see it in the trailer because a lot of it is CG effects, but the actual sets that they set up and filmed around look really great. You can find that trailer on YouTube, but I'm personally excited to see how Paul Dini writes Maleficent.
One thing I am worried about, though, and you can see it just in the teaser, it looks like Angelina is going to outact the girl who's playing Aurora by a lot. I want to say Jolie only said like 4 words, and I was like, amazing! Give her an Oscar. And this girl said a lot of words, and I'm like, go back to high school.
Well, good thing the movie's about her.
Yeah. Still in line with Disney, they have also announced through Marvel that they are teaming up with Netflix to bring 4 series. These are made up of Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Daredevil. And they will eventually join up into a mini-series special called The Defenders.
This is Marvel actually being really smart about how you can use Netflix to make some small shows with the characters that probably wouldn't support a full-length feature or a full-length The Defenders movie. So instead they do it on a smaller scale, on a more accessible audience, to an audience that probably doesn't know who Luke Cage is or who don't really remember Daredevil or may not have read any of these characters in any comic books. So instead they bring it onto Netflix as an exclusive, air all the shows similar to what they did with House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, and then they finally do a mini-series combining. It's like a mini Avengers, but with characters that probably wouldn't be like the global defenders like the Avengers would be, but on a smaller scale with various cities, and that's the world that they're trying to build with Netflix.
This is Disney making more money off things that they wouldn't originally have made money off of. That's all this is.
They want a piece of the pie.
Yep.
The largest piece.
They want the whole pie, and you can have the crusty bits that fall off. Those pieces that end up in the bottom of the oven.
But I think this is great. It's a good idea for Disney, good for Marvel, good for these characters also, and good for Netflix.
Agreed.
We also saw Thor, The Dark World. It premiered last week, and it is the sequel that takes place right after the Avengers. Everyone's back, Thor, Loki, Odin, and the rest of the cast that is on Earth that we really didn't need to know about.
Rest of them.
I personally didn't like the first Thor movie. It felt just like another piece to try to bring in the Avengers movie as quickly as possible. And that is still one of my biggest problems with the Avengers, is all of these movies leading up to it, except for Captain America, were not honestly very good. And people will argue with me all day about Iron Man 1 and 2. I still didn't like them. I'm sorry. I didn't think they were good movies. Captain America, the director of The Rocketeer, worked on that, and you can absolutely see it in the movie, and the way he handles the characters, and in the way that he eventually brought him into the present at the very end of the film. And I was hoping he would come back for Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, so we can see those moments like in the comics where he's still adjusting to the real world, to the present, while with the World War II mentality in mind. And I just love Captain America. That's really a fun movie. Thor, the first one, didn't care for. The second one was an improvement. But again, that's after saying that I didn't like the first one.
I don't think I didn't see the first one the whole way through. I think I was at my parents' house once watching it, and I don't really remember a whole lot of it. I remember drug dealers in the desert. I think that's all I remember. And I still didn't really like this one either. In the beginning, it seemed like we had a lot of setup with him finding this other woman who he could actually spend the rest of his life with. And that went nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nowhere. I did have a sad moment. I think I cried once. I almost cried another time.
So you got emotionally riled up a little bit from Thor.
Yeah, but then it was like gone. It's like now we're on to something else. We're not really going to address this at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. There wasn't, and that's my biggest complaint with superhero movies is they try to focus all on the action.
Right.
And I want to see more character development. I want to see more, this is why they are the way they are, and this is why it's tough for them to be superheroes. You know, I would have loved to see it's even harder that Thor is a god because he can't be with the woman that he wants to be. Not, I'll just renounce my title and live on Earth for the next 50 years till she dies. That wasn't a good ending for me. I don't know.
And then the villain as well, the Elf King, he just wants to make everything dark because that's the type of thing that they live in. That's the type of kingdom they want.
Weird.
The entire universe is all the planets, everything. And that's all. Like, we can't relate to the villain. He's just there for action, like you mentioned earlier, just to beat up. It's not like, trying to think of a villain recently in a comic book movie. I guess General Zod, but he was more like bred to be evolutionary superior to any Kryptonian, so he wants to rule. Ra's al Ghul would be a good one, yeah, from the Batman Begins movies.
Bane.
Maybe Bane. He's just continued Ra's al Ghul's legacy because he was in love with Talia for whatever reason.
Because that was kind of creepy now that I think of it. She was 9.
And he was, yeah. It's not really established. I guess Talia sees him as like a guardian, she says in the movie, or like maybe an older brother. But it seems like Bane has more feelings for her than that by the way they set up everything that he does. And that would also help with the whole hate that he has for Bruce Wayne and Batman, knowing that Batman had his dick inside Talia at one point.
So gross.
Hey, it helps the movie.
Live the rest of his life with Catwoman, though.
But Thor, on the other hand, it was just... I mean, they tried a little bit harder, I guess. It was a completely different feel to the movie. It was more like myth than the first one was. The first one was trying to make it into like magic is a different type of science, and this is the world that they come from. They're actually aliens, but they live a lot longer than us, and they're stronger than us, so it would seem like they were gods to us. Kind of did that thing we talked about last week with the Ultimates and Thor being crazy, and then they kind of find out that he's actually a god. And in this one, they're just like, okay, so we need to write in a lot more Loki stuff and put it in the movie because people, for whatever fucking reason, like this character. I don't understand.
I tried to explain this to you. You don't get it.
I still don't get it. I'll
That's
never
fine.
understand
That's fine.
why people like Loki.
You don't have to get it.
He's not an interesting character.
Women like him.
Well, guys do too. Like, I hear all the time, guys are just... They like Loki. They thought he was good in the Avengers. They liked him in the first Thor movie. And I'm like, he's not why are we following him? It's the Jack Sparrow syndrome is what this is.
Okay.
It's exactly what it is. Like, people liked him in the first movie. So they did 2 more movies and put a shit ton of him in. And they did this in Thor. Like, a major plot point just around Loki. Again, don't care, but...
Kind of off topic. In actual Norse mythology, didn't Loki get pregnant?
I don't know.
Pretty sure he did. Can they write that in the next movie?
Would make for then I would be interested in the character.
It's like, oh, how's he going to deal with being a mother?
Some more news on the Superman vs. Batman movie that's coming out, or Man of Steel 2, whatever they end up calling it. Right after the Man of Steel Q&A, Kevin Smith, of course, he can never keep a secret. He talked about the Batman costume. Mm-hmm. It was on, I believe, Hollywood Babylon. That's one of the many podcasts that he has. And that night he was podcasting in front of an audience, and he did actually talk about how Zack Snyder showed him Ben Affleck in the Batman suit, a picture of it from his iPhone.
That's awesome.
And this is a quote from Kevin Smith on the Batman costume.
He said, "I saw the Batman costume. More than that, I saw a picture of Ben Affleck in the costume. Now, I don't want to give anything away, because that's up to them and stuff. But I am going to say this. I instantly bear-hugged Snyder. You have not seen this costume in a movie on film before. And for a comic book fan, it was mind-bending. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Only you have the power to pull this off, man. Because everyone always does this fucking Matrix-y kind of X-Men black armor thing. There wasn't a single nipple on this fucking suit, man. It was fantastic. I'm telling you, as a geek, I was just like, it blew my mind. I think everyone is just going to be like, holy shit, it's his own thing, man. It's like we haven't been down this path at all.
So from that information, without trying to jump ahead too much and speculate on, well, it's Batman Beyond or whatever, very basic. I think this means that the costume obviously won't be fully black anymore, just like it has been since the Tim Burton movies. And it sounds like it won't be like an armored costume like we did see in the Nolan movies. So I'm thinking it's either going to be like a dark gray, very similar to the New 52 with Jim Lee, and maybe some kind of, I don't know what to call it, but more of a cloth design instead of that armor design that we see in the movies, more like the comic book, or more like the Man of Steel's costume, where it's kind of like I don't know what that was, like a rubbery something, but
weird nylon.
But for Batman, instead of doing the armor thing again, they probably want to go as far off from the Nolan films as they can to really separate this Batman, to really say this is a brand new Batman in a whole different universe that's going to be fighting the Man of Steel.
It'd be really interesting to see. I don't want to speculate too much either. With these kind of things, I kind of like to stay as far away from it as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because that way I don't get any ideas of what I should be seeing. I just get to enjoy what I am seeing.
And I'm also curious to see if maybe they'll do like the white eyes for Batman like they do in the comic books.
That would be cool.
Like, it's very hard to do because the actor won't be able to express himself as much because he only has, I mean, most of his face is covered already, so you have the mouth, the chin, and like the nose too.
They just have to make his cowl move with his eyebrows.
His eyebrows move. So I think this is good. I think it's great that they're going in a whole new direction, and that'll help the movie along as they try to do a Man of Steel and a world where they will eventually lead up to the Justice League.
And I'm excited to see Superman in love with Batman. Because it'll happen.
You've got this new costume on. Let's switch costumes, but you take off yours first.
This new Batman hasn't discovered that you have to wear lead under your costume.
Everywhere. Well, this is a season of the Batman, but I guess it is the first time he meets Clark. Mm-hmm. So he's like, there are still things to learn. This is really nice, really heartwarming news from Jezebel.com, actually, is where we got this story from, but you can see it all over the place, the LA Times, anywhere on the internet, Instagram, Twitter, and you'll see why. If you haven't heard about this, you've got to check it out. This is the article again from Jezebel.com. Miles has been battling cancer since before his second birthday, according to the Los Angeles Times. But what he really wanted to do is normal 5-year-old kid stuff, like be Batman. And so the Make-A-Wish Foundation, along with the entire city of San Francisco, came together to transform the place into Gotham City. More from the LA Times. The effort will include Miles' own Batmobile, a personal call from Police Chief Greg Suhr for help, the apprehension of the Riddler, and then a flash mob involving hundreds of people in Union Square, alerting Batkid to the fact that Penguin has kidnapped Lucille, the San Francisco Giants mascot. Batkid will then chase the Penguin around AT&T Park, rescuing Lucille and earning a key to the city during a presentation at City Hall. All of these exploits were kicked off by a live television news bulletin carried by KGO-TV and covered in the Gotham City Chronicle, 1,000 copies of which were printed by the San Francisco Chronicle on Friday. The top A1 story penned by who else? Clark Kent.
Amazing.
This is an example that of people when they get together and they just want to do, I mean, you hear about magic at Disney all the time, but this is the true magic that you see when an entire city and various companies could just get behind making this special day for this kid. Like, yeah, it's just one, it's just a kid, he's 5 years old, it's one life in the grand scheme of things, but it's not so much that, it's the symbol of what people are willing to do for another person, for that one single life that won't be around for much longer. I mean, we all go at one point, but for this kid, he just wanted to be Batman and to go in Gotham and actually become the Dark Knight, and the city of San Francisco actually did that for him.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and If you actually check out the article, they do have pictures along with it as well. And to see this little kid, you see him running around in his little bat suit, and it's amazing. You see people with signs like "We love you, Batman," and Batman's our hero. And for just this one day, this kid was Batman. This is, and it's horrible to say, but this is the greatest moment of his life. And hopefully he does overcome this disease, and even if he lives a full life, this will still be the best thing that has ever happened to him. And that's really amazing that people got together to make that a reality.
And the fact, too, that we live in a time now where we can record these moments from a little device in our pocket and save these files and just cherish them forever. And to the point where even the president will make a video thanking Miles to saving Gotham City. And all these ways that this kid can hold these memories, or the parents or the family. Just years ago, it would just be like the news stations, and hopefully you can get a tape of the story, and maybe the newspapers, whatever. But now it's just this time you can see on Twitter, on Instagram, all these pictures from all angles of this wonderful day for this kid, and really wonderful that we can experience it almost as well as he did.
Mm-hmm. I think that will wrap it up for our news this week, though. We're going to jump into comics, starting with our indie. We have Adventure Time Candy Capers, number 5 of 6. This is written by Aneth Panagouria and Yoko Ota, with art by Ian McGinty and Tessa Stone. One thing I think I am not really appreciating about the series is we get to see a lot of Peppermint Butler being evil. One of the things I liked about the show is, we know Peppermint Butler's evil, but maybe 1 out of every 4 episodes we see him in, does he actually mention death or killing somebody or doing that weird demon thing that he does. And that's so funny to me, because I'm like, you're this silly little butler and you're this horrible evil man. But we're seeing it a lot. I want to say like 2/3 of this comic was him being evil.
Yeah, I guess when he gets really upset, I actually like those parts, because they always followed up with a panel of him just like rubbing his eyes like, this is just not my day. After he's been like the black magic of hell, and it's just like, it's not fun. I've come to another dead end. I think that's what's funny about I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than number 4. Number 4 was just like an issue just to extend the series, I guess, because that adventure I felt like didn't need to be told. But number 5, it's like they're getting a little bit closer now, because he now has this team of detectives, or whatever you want to call them.
Misfits, whoever was left in the kingdom, didn't have anything better to do.
Right, and they've reached, I guess the ultimate dead end, because they really don't know where Finn and Jake have gone, even after they've recovered his weapon.
Yeah, I guess. In the end, they went on this mission to get dry cleaning, and then Peppermint Butler did dry cleaning too.
Yeah, I'll give it to you at a discount. Fine.
I think I think my favorite part of this, though, just kind of a play on words that I don't think, younger kids would have gotten. When they go and they fight that guy who's like so beautiful, and he only takes beautiful things, and he breaks his charm and he turns into a fish. And Princess Bubblegum, he comes back and she goes, "Did you find out any news?" He goes, "It was a red herring." And she goes, "Literally or figuratively?" And he goes, "Both." That was great. I'm like, I know what a red herring is.
And we finally got to see the advertisement for the Adventure Time winter, like Wingdings type of issue that's coming out. Hopefully it's better than the Halloween one. And then the next miniseries will be Adventure Time on the flip side. On to some more indie books, or the next one is Rocket Girl number 2, written by Brandon Montclair and art by Amy Reeder.
I'm still really liking where this series is going, particularly in the, I don't want to say duality, but where you were kind of in the future and the present at the same time. Or, I guess it's the past. And you get to see how the actions she's taking in the past mirror the ones that she took in the future. So it's going to lead to something bad.
Right, and I did like that we got more explanation on the world that she comes from, the time she comes from, and how she is in fact supposedly changing the future by going into the past. I think we're going to get the kind of plot where it's going to be a paradox where her changes are what's creating her future. So she's not really in the end changing anything, and it'll probably, I don't know if it's like a miniseries or an entire arc or ongoing, but this first story will probably end with her staying in the past, knowing that her future is set regardless of what she tries to change.
Except she's got her love interest in the future, Deshawn.
Wasn't Deshawn trying to get in her way and stuff?
Because he loved her. He just wanted to go with her to the past to save her.
She'll find someone in the past. Someone from the 80s.
No, I like Deshaun.
She'll find Casey Jones. Like in TMNT.
Next, we're going to move into Marvel. We have Superior Spider-Man number 21, written by Dan Slott with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. Finally, going back to the way things used to be. Still not as good as it was in the beginning, but much better than it has been. Doc Ock is a sneaky motherfucker.
Yeah.
I like when... Okay, so if you remember, his ex-girlfriend woke up. She was really big, but she put on this virtual reality thing that made her a virtual reality self that could interact. Hard light is what they called it. So Spider-Man has to stop her, and then he realizes, hey, I can use this machine and make a Doc Ock of myself.
Right.
And he was all like suave and had his little suit. And I'm like, you're really silly, Doc Ock. Really silly.
He solved that problem he had with the academic, what do they call it, like an academic probation that he would have had.
Yeah. He would have had face expulsion.
And now, I guess in canon, one of the characters thinks that Peter Parker was actually behind all of Doc Ock's technology.
That was really funny. Why would you think that Peter... Anyway.
And why would you keep it a secret? Because Peter Parker's technology has led to many people getting killed because of all the shit Doc Ock did. But no, he wants to keep it a secret because he's a prodigy.
Yeah, something weird.
Next is Cataclysm Ultimate Spider-Man number 1 of 3, written by Brian Michael Bendis and art by David Marquez. This is one of the mini-series that ties into the giant Cataclysm event, the end of the Ultimate Universe, except this focuses on Spider-Man, Miles Morales. You'll get more of your Cloak and Dagger, which is the story that you really want, and it looks like they're going to be hopefully preserved in this, into the 616 merge, or the transferring over of those characters into the main Marvel Universe. Because here they really don't have anything left behind in their world. They really don't have family. And then with the coming of Galactus, they just want to be heroes. And I feel like they can really do that if they once they move over to the main Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm. I really hope that they move with them because I love the background that they had set up for these characters. I like the characters themselves. I love their dependency on each other because not only as people, but light needs darkness and vice versa.
Right.
So, yeah, they've created characters that I really love. I would love to see them move on. One complaint, and I mean, it's not really a complaint. I'm just like, you guys are silly. They go back to find her parents, and obviously they're gone, but their house is all boarded up. Who boards up their house when they sell it or move out?
Because otherwise the reader would be like, they're not really gone. There's no boards on those windows.
But I'm sitting here, I'm like, I looked at a lot of vacant houses, and none of them are boarded up unless it's like falling down.
Right.
And yeah, but anyway, that was my only complaint. Otherwise, I think it was really good. Now we're going to move into my favorite, the DC Comics. First off, we have Batgirl number 25. This is a 0-year tie-in. It was written by Margaret Bennett with art by Fernando Passarin and Jonathan Galapian.
Have we hit any picks of the weeks yet?
No. We have not hit my pick of the week.
So Batgirl, we now have Batgirl in the hands of someone else for this month.
Mm-hmm.
Gail Simone will return for number 26 when they finish the Wanted series.
I think she did a pretty good job. Not gonna lie, I do like Gail the best, but I liked beginning to see Barbara's feeling of responsibility for Gotham, which stems largely from her father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just not this responsibility for, this is my home, these are my things. It's something bigger than that. It's Gotham is my home, and I am responsible for all the people in it.
Which are my family.
Mm-hmm. So that, I think they told a story well to show her evolution into coming to think that way.
And I thought that would have been like a love interest with one of the characters, Henry.
No.
So you catch a love interest when Avatar The Last Airbender starts.
Oh, it was totally
between
there.
Zuko and Katara,
Yes.
which I didn't see.
No, they're so in love.
But between Henry and Batgirl.
Blind. I didn't see one there. I
saw one there.
A sneaky mofo being a sneaky mofo. I didn't see any love interest.
Well, at the end of the comic, she did try to save him, and he was okay, though, because he wasn't in trouble. There's this funny panel in which it's almost like he's drowning, and she's like, Henry! Goes out to try to save him, but the next panel, he's just swimming away like, see you later, Barbara. I'll see you in the future.
He died.
I'll see you in the next arc.
He died.
I thought that was the only thing about it, but there's this great page in which you see the blimps go over Gotham. And the blimps are really back in Zero Year, which we'll talk about in the next comic. But overall, Batgirl was enjoyable. It was probably the better of the two Zero Year tie-ins that we got this week. Which takes us on to Batman number 25, Zero Year. This is not the tie-in, but this is actually the main Zero Year story. It's written by Scott Snyder, art by Greg Capullo, and Danny Miki. Lights out.
Batman is so cool. Stopping people, taking on Gordon.
He did take on Gordon, didn't
He
he?
did. I thought that was really funny. I guess there's a hole to get down to the Batcave, and Gordon just knew where it was for whatever reason. So Batman climbs out of the hole, and Gordon's just there. And for whatever reason, they decided to color this in like light pastels and like very touching, loving moment when he sticks his head out of this hole and Gordon's there like, hello there. Like, what's going on here?
But we do have more of Alfred. There's a really good moment in this in which Alfred is mending Bruce's wounds from the previous night.
His scar. He's looking at his scar from the Red Hood debacle.
And there's a moment in which Alfred stops, and he's kind of they don't say it explicitly, but it's very much implied that Alfred is thinking to himself, this is the first of many, and I have to get used to this. Mm-hmm. And this may be the last wound I ever tend for Bruce Wayne, essentially almost like his son. The only way that the book recognizes this, and this is a way in which, an example for which you don't need writing to send the message. Sometimes it's just a comic book panel. Sometimes it's like a movie, a pause. And you can do that in comics just like you can in any film. And here we saw it with Batman number 25.
It was great. It was leading the story very well. We get to see our first of Poison Ivy also.
Right.
Which I'm really excited to see where that goes. Dr. Death is here as well. And he's spooky, man.
Yeah, New 52 Dr. Death is pretty freaky.
I don't like him.
You got to that last page and you said, I don't like Batman anymore.
This is scary.
So he pretty much uses like a...
It was designed by Wayne Industries, and in theory it was something you inject, whatever, and then your bones would harden when there was an impact. So say somebody shot you in the head, where that bullet hit, those bones would instantly harden and you wouldn't die. Same with, to be like used for soldiers.
Right.
Somebody goes and punches your nose would instantly harden and your nose wouldn't break. I guess that's cartilage, not bone, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it might still... I think the cells would still work the same way.
Right, rebuild the cells. It was never perfected, so now it mutates your bones and just makes them grow and... oh, it was so gross.
You do see an example of this in Batman 25. I'm like, I don't want Batman to go against Dr. Death. Can we just let Dr. Death... leave him alone until you're sure you can stop him, Batman? Because you're young Batman right now. You had a hard time with Red Hood as it was.
And the ending... scary too. Like what's gonna happen? I don't know. He's gonna Batman his way out of it.
What'd you think of the new Batmobile? That's a lot of people are talking about it on the internet.
I'm just gonna take a nap, so I don't have to answer this question. I didn't really like it. It was weird and purple and yellow and weird.
It's like blue and yellow. Originally, I guess Snyder wanted him to use a lot more yellow. Both FCO and Greg Capullo were like, okay, we're gonna show you what it's looking like. And they named it, like, the Bumblebee Batmobile. And he was like, I'm so glad they can, like, sometimes kick me in the ass and be like, we're not going to do those colors. I'm sorry. So they went with the blue and yellow that we see, which is, again, more reflective of the older Batmobile, which was blue and yellow and then had the big Batman head on the front. In this case, he has, like, a Batman, like a bat flying symbol type of thing, the type of thing you would see on the front of Mercedes cars and stuff, or the Jaguars. Except it's a golden bat that lights up and the wheels kind of transform. It was like an old school Batmobile. I was fine with it. I think what my favorite part about this comic was the bringing back of the blimps in Gotham. Because it's not Gotham without the blimps. You've got to have blimps. Like I tweeted to Scott Snyder, no matter what part of time Gotham is in, the future, the very past, it can be like Western times, there have to be blimps in the sky. If you remember the episode of animated series with Jonah Hex, and where he was dealing with Ra's al Ghul's son, weren't there still kind of sort of blimps in the sky?
I think there were.
That's where they were fighting on. I'm like, those are blimps. So you always have to have blimps in Gotham.
Agreed.
My pick of the week, this one, actually.
Mine too. I'm surprised.
Because of it. Well, go ahead.
Okay, fine. Batman Little Gotham, number 8. Written by Dustin Nguyen and Derek Friedholz with art by Dustin Nguyen. the best artist in the world. I always have to sing a song for Dustin to win.
This one has a pirate story, and it has like a Damien story. Yes. And I know you like pirates a lot. And these are actual pirates, not like the Mongolian pirates or whatever that we saw in that
Those aren't
Tom
real
Hanks
pirates.
movie. They're carrying guns, and they're riding on ships and raiding other ships. Those aren't real pirates. Where's the hook? Where's the parrot? I don't see it.
The talking parrot.
The talking parrot. We have those here, actually.
Yes, it was awesome. But that wasn't what made it my pick of the week.
Okay.
So we open up. Batman comes home from a long night where he went and fought Darkseid, who shot his Omega beams, just kind of went through his cape. Like, didn't even try to hit him or anything. Just went through his cape. So we go and fight Darkseid. Batman gets home, sits down. He's like, ugh, I need a vacation. And Alfred's like, you're right, you do. And Batman's like, no, it's a figure of speech. Alfred's like, nope, you leave in the morning. So Batman's going on a vacation. Awesome. Batman gets to the boat. Who's on the boat? Catwoman. Yeah. Batman and Catwoman on a vacation. Wearing bikinis. You know what happens. We all know what happened. They're on a yacht all by themselves. With wine.
They went swimming. You're right.
Okay, sure, Dan. That's what happened. They went swimming.
And then they got captured by pirates. That's all that... We saw everything that happened in this issue.
Okay, sure, Dan. And then he took her shopping and spent lots of money.
Silly fool. This is why you don't go on vacation, Batman.
It was a great comic.
You have Joker and Harley in that first story.
2 Jokers and Harleys.
I still don't understand why there were 2. Who were the pirate ones?
They were imposters.
Just imposters.
Yes.
It was weird.
No, it was great. 2 Jokers and Harleys and Batman and Catwoman in love.
And the second story involved Damien.
By themselves. In love.
Damien and the rest of the crew in the bird's nest, as they called it. Mm-hmm. I think I enjoyed both stories a lot. The second one I liked only because of the final panel in which all of the, I guess, Bat kids, the Bat family's in there, first of all. And also the extra characters like Black Canary. And they're all just dancing and having a good time. And little Damien's learning how to dance. It was a touching moment. With a girl. Yeah.
Hey, good job, Damien. Like father, like son.
Exactly.
Except Batman was on a boat with Catwoman.
That's alright. He already had his with Talia, and that's what we see with Damien.
That's okay. He can spend the rest of his life with Catwoman because they're in love.
Well, it was still my pick of the week regardless because, I mean, the art was great. The story was really good. Both of them were great. They weren't really holiday-centered either.
No, and it even says in there, which made me laugh because it was directly talking about why there were no holidays in it. Alfred says, you can go ahead and go on vacation. August is a slow month.
Oh, because there's no holidays.
Because there were no holidays. August was a slow month for holidays. Come on, Dan. Can't believe I picked this up and you didn't. But it was 2 very light stories, very enjoyable stories. There was humor, there was love, there was action, and romance, and bikinis, and Batman and Catwoman in love.
Our picks of the week, I guess.
Yep. It was very good. Definitely recommend it. And you get that great little circle. I still think you should get it tattooed. It is the black on the red animated series with Damien.
With Damien's silhouette instead of Batman's. I loved it too.
So cool.
Next is Justice League of America number 9, written by Matt Kindt and art by Doug Mahnke and Christian Alamy. This story, I guess we see how Martian Manhunter will escape this mental prison that the Justice League is in. But also, I think we better develop Jeff Johns' Stargirl, or what he's trying to do with Stargirl and how important she actually is to the team. Because she is the young, optimistic superhero.
She hasn't been jaded like the rest of everyone else. She doesn't have that weakness, that mental weakness to bring her down, to lock her in that prison like all we see with the rest of the Justice League. Exactly
like Martian Manhunter said, she has youth. And then he goes on to talk about everything that youth does represent. And this is exactly why, like you said, she's not stuck in this prison along with the rest of the Justice League, except for Batman, who's gonna put an end to this Ultraman guy.
He's gonna seduce him, and then when he lets his guard down, that's it.
Elbow to the face.
Break his heart.
My chin is broken, but my heart is shattered.
Greatest line ever. We should put that on Superman Loves Batman. We'll put that on the back as like the quote. And the quotes that's always on the back. That's it. Tagline for our book.
And final book for this week. It's actually my pass of the week.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty bad. Nightwing number 25. This is a 0-year tie-in. Written by Kyle Higgins with art by Will Conrad.
I think this will be our final Nightwing issue.
Yeah, probably.
the Zero Year tie-in in itself, like a lot of the tie-ins won't be very good, and I'm sure the next arc will be interesting, but I think we're going to go back to trying to catch up on Nightwing on trade instead of picking it up on the weekly, or I mean on the monthly. Partly because the previous catalog had more issues we're going to have to pick up. We're coming up on another month, new series that are going to be coming out, like the Bee and Puppy Cat is one example.
Yeah.
You know we're not going to stop picking those up.
No, I love Bee and Puppy Cat.
As long as Natasha Allegri's on the book, we'll continue. And she will be. It's like, are they her original creations? They've got to be.
I don't know, maybe.
Actually, if you want to talk about the Kickstarter before we jump into the Nightwing.
Oh, yeah, so excited. So, Kickstarter made 143% of their goal, which is great. We're now getting 6 episodes?
I believe so, for Bee and Puppy Cat.
Which is amazing. And then they had all these incentives if they hit,
The next stretch goal.
Right, the next stretch goal, then you got even more if you had pledged over a certain amount. We pledged the perfect amount.
Yeah.
Just kind of worked out that way. Getting all this stuff, so excited. We got stickers and storyboard, postcards, a Blu-ray,
pins,
just stuff coming out our ass is great. I'm keeping it all. Sorry, guys.
But the Blu-ray, that's probably what I was most excited for, because an animated movie like this, you want it on the highest quality possible, and we get the digital download of it too. So good for Natasha Allegri and everyone at Cartoon Hangover.
It's great.
But back on topic, Nightwing number 25, it was just a story of Nightwing and friends, and he gets the urge to wear a mask. Like, I didn't really see anything in here really representative of the character like you did in Batgirl. None of her origin, really, where this is how Batgirl picked up this trait or quality. Nightwing, it was just, he came out of a movie and he wanted to reenact the characters in the movie.
Pretty much. You see him learning how to work together as a team, but we see him as Nightwing and he's by himself anyway. He's not doing anything as a team. He's like, no, I'm tired of being your shadow. So, no, nothing really substantial that makes me go, oh, that's why he is the way he is.
Poor Nightwing. Or Robin, as we call him. Outside of the whole Nightwing just trying to play pretend for a night, during the 0 year, I think this was my favorite part of the book, which was near the opening. He's watching a movie, and that's when the Riddler's lights out event happens. And everyone loses cell phone reception. Everyone loses all electricity. Like, it's just, this is what's going to lead to that green, wild Gotham, or whatever they call it, where there's no technology and they have to actually hunt for their food and everything. But in the theater, they're like, hey, the lights are out. Come on, what's going on? I want a refund. And someone else says, my cell phone isn't working. Yeah, mine either. And then the one person goes, we're being attacked. And then everyone panics. I'm like, that's exactly what would happen in real life, too.
It is.
There's always the one asshole that has to make everyone freak out. And that's exactly what happens in here. But this is my pass of the week, Nightwing number 25.
Probably mine as well. Not very good. And finally, we're going to end with something that we've been waiting for a while. We picked up the Batman Black and White Joker statue by Greg Capullo. This was priced at $79.95. Totally worth it.
Another statue that will fit really well with any of the black and white lines that you've gotten. A lot of them have been Batman, and a lot of them have been from artists that you see in these stories that aren't necessarily in continuity always, like Arkham Origins. There's an Arkham Origins black and white that's coming up also in a couple of months. The Batman from Greg Capullo, which is in the New 52 universe, is this month. There was a Bruce Timm one like years ago that we missed out on, unfortunately.
I'm so mad.
But this one goes perfectly well with the Batman one that comes out in about a week or two. Definitely this month. But we are going to be doing an unboxing of it. Look for it this week. It might even be up by the time you listen to this on our YouTube channel. So you can take a closer look at the Batman Black and White Joker statue, again designed by Greg Capullo.
And finally, we did actually beat Batman Arkham Origins. Took us forever because of work. But
any free time we got.
Yeah.
I guess I'll continue here and get to the next save point. And then stop and go to the next one. Haven't even gotten a chance to touch the challenge maps too much. At least the Predator ones. I've done a lot of the regular combat ones. But we did beat Arkham Origins, and I gotta say, for the story is probably what should draw most players to the video game.
Agreed. I thought the Joker parts, the Joker origin was much stronger than the Batman origin that we saw. Which I can appreciate because, yeah, we've all seen the Batman origin a lot, but it is such a great origin. They could have done something much stronger with that. But the Joker parts were really cool. The part where he's talking to Harley and you hear him walking around, or you get to play as him walking around and seeing how he was created and to see how he actually views Batman. That was really, really cool to see on TV.
And probably my favorite part of the game, aside from the Joker origin, would be the moment in which Alfred confronts Batman and tells him, look, you've pretty much gotten lucky these last 2 years. Here's a real threat, this Joker that actually matches who you are in Gotham. And I don't think you're going to make it. You're not going to come back. And I thought that was my favorite part of the story. And probably what made me like the game overall was just those moments. Even though it wasn't written by Paul Dini, they still did their best at just making this really compelling story with the character while still retelling all these origins for everyone, including Batman and the Joker. So overall, I think personally it was my least favorite of the 3 Arkham games so far. And it looks like WB Montreal's next game won't be necessarily a Batman game, but it will tie in to the Arkham universe. I won't spoil the ending for you, the scene after the credits, but if you want to look it up on YouTube, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, I can't wait for Rocksteady's return to the Arkham series, which I'm assuming is what they're working on now, especially with Kevin Conroy's leak on Twitter and at the Texas convention. So that'll be fun when they finally decide to announce it. Hopefully it comes out this coming year.
That'd be great. But I think that'll actually do it for us this week. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, and let us know what made you broke this week. #Reasons I'm Broke.
If you're watching this on YouTube, head over to our channel and click on the unboxing videos. You should see the Joker Batman Black and White statue unboxing. It will be up, if not today, then definitely this week. And also leave us a review on iTunes. Just search The Reasons I'm Broke, leave us a customer review, pushes us up on the charts, and makes it easier for people to find us.
And if you don't have iTunes, because a new update screwed up your computer too, you can listen to us through IPP Podcast on your Android phone. Just search The Reasons I'm Broke. We should show up with all of our podcasts up there.
Thank you again for listening this week. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
See you next week.